My top 5 health tech favorites for 2024. If you don't know me, my name is Olly. I'm the founder of Body Reset, and we work with thousands of busy professionals and business owners to get their body energy back. And one of the things that we keep getting confronted with is all these new tech pieces. What should we be wearing? What should we be tracking? How do I get on top of my health? And what numbers do I focus on? So what this list is the top 5 pieces that I use regularly. I've used myself in most cases, and that I recommend to clients. So if you've got any intention of improving your energy, your recovery, your fitness, your health overall, these top 5 are going to be very helpful. And wait for the 5th one, because I think this is one that's been asked a lot and I've never really had a good answer for, and now I do. So number 5 is going to be good. Now, the first one I want to talk about is actually a selection, and it's wearables. It's becoming a huge market, right? Tracking your heart rate, your sleep quality. What is best? What should I do? Now, I've got a couple different answers, and it really depends on your personality, on what you really want to track best. So what we're looking at here is the balance of the Oura ring, the Whoop band, which I'm wearing currently, and the Garmin, which specifically I tend to go the Venu 3, which has just come out, and that's a pretty good option as well. So what I want to walk through is what the difference are between those 3 and what type of person I would recommend each to. So the Oura, I had that for 2 or 3 years. I really enjoy it, and I think for most clients, Oura is still the one I recommend the most, simply because it's got the most accurate technology. It's typically more focused on recovery, and when you look at things like sleep, HRV, breathing rate, or respiratory rate, these can be really, really helpful. And for most of my clients, the goal is not about hitting a brand new PB in the gym. It's about making sure we're recovering effectively so that we feel good for that workout or for the workday or for the holiday. And being able to really manage that, I find the Oura ring is very discreet. It's very easy to charge. For me, because I don't wear it when I weight train, I would charge it when I weight train, and then I never run out of battery because it typically lasts 4 or 5 days. So I find that a really great option. Now, the reason I've moved over to Whoop, other than simply trying out something else, is I do find it a little bit more fitness specific. So if you do find that you want to track your activity when you're in the workout, like a weight training workout, you can absolutely still do the same with an Oura, but I just find it annoying scratching up the ring on a bar or a dumbbell. Although what I find is that the Whoop is a bit more focused towards someone who's doing a bit more fitness activity. For example, this morning I did a fairly decent leg day, and it rated it as a 6 as a strain score. Now, if I go for a mountain bike and I'll come back and I'm only about half as tired, but I was moving and getting my heart rate up for a longer period of time, I might be rated a 12, right? Now, for me, I know that the leg workout in comparison to the weight training was far harder, but because there's a big emphasis on the aerobic capacity, and of course they're tracking more so heart rate than tissue breakdown, that'd be a fancy piece of tech, I do find that a lot of people can feel discouraged, feeling like they haven't really worked that hard, and just noticing that the tech is a little bit more leaning towards, come on, you can push a little bit more today. That's where I see that one being less helpful. For me, I'm finding it's a nice little nudge to get a bit more activity in, but for most of our clients, it's about maximizing and identifying key areas of improvement in recovery. So in most cases, I see the Oura being best. And then of course, Garmin, if you want to go watches, most are a lot less accurate. Now, being able to get the most accurate, I think Garmin are doing a really good job. They've moved into the new tech space that's a little bit more precise. And as a watch standpoint, I think it looks great. It's got so many pieces in there. And I think the Venu has pretty much everything you'd want ever in a watch in one spot. So just as an alternative, again, that's the one I haven't owned myself, but plenty of clients rave about it. And I have seen in regards to where it is in comparison to Fitbit and G-Shock and Apple Watch, I think they're way ahead. So those are those sort of 3 top versions of just a basic day-to-day wearable to look at tracking sleep, recovery scores, and a bit deeper with things like breathing rate, HRV, etc. So that's the first category. Now the second one's been really, really fun, and I've been testing this out, a new version of this for the last 3 or 4 months, and that's called the EightSleep. Now, what it essentially is a cooling blanket for your bed, and I find this essential if you live in anywhere that's hot or you run hot during the night. Now, I used Oura from Chili Sleep for a long time. I did find that I ran into some issues with just the quality of it, and there's certain leaks because it is a water-cooled bed. And I have found EightSleep in comparison to be significantly better in regards to it actually has its own biometric tracker in it, which is a bit much if you've already got a tracker, but you can see the quality of your sleep because it's tracking that from basic movements, etc. throughout the night. But the focus or the difference between, say, the Oura and the EightSleep is that the Oura is more of a, you set your temperature for the night, and then it stays at that temperature throughout the night. For the EightSleep, you can have it based on what temperature you want when you get into bed, when you go to sleep, and what that looks like throughout the night. And I think this is really crucial, because understanding different stages of your sleep, you'll notice that if you set something really cold because you run hot when you first get into bed, you've just had a shower or a bath, you'll find that later in the night you're too cold and you need to turn the thing down. So having an EightSleep that starts cold and actually warms up a little bit during the night, I have seen an improvement in total sleep quality and just enjoying being in bed. So the EightSleep being a fantastic piece of tech, I've seen a good increase of, say, 5 or 6 points a night, going from, say, 80 to 85 or 85 to 90 as sort of an average sleep score. And I find that a fairly significant improvement, just waking up feeling a little bit more refreshed. So if you are going through perimenopause or menopause, or in my case, just running hot, and you do find that that gets in the way of your sleep, then I find that really helpful. And looking at the optimal sleep temperature being around 18 or 19 degrees, most people have their rooms and certainly their beds far too hot, and that's a big reason for low quality sleep or even light sleep. So looking at some tech to actually cool the bed and maximize your opportunity to sleep, alongside, of course, a cool, dark, quiet room, looking at sleep temperature is a really cool part. Now, the third one I want to address is one that's always overlooked when we look at reducing toxicity in the body, and that's simply what water we're drinking. So a basic water filter, if you're in your own home, being able to simply add or install a water filter either to the entire system, or like we've done, just in the kitchen sink, to make sure all of our drinking water is properly filtered. And certainly if you live in town, being able to remove a lot of these chemicals that are coming through does have a significant impact on that toxic load to the body. So one, I think the water tastes much better, and two, I know that I'm getting a significant drop in that toxic load. So I feel recovered, I feel energetic. I definitely noticed a difference in just that sort of fogginess in the morning after a couple of days with that, and certainly alongside one of these filters that actually adds nutrients. I think there's a big difference between a water filter that simply strips everything out versus a water filter that actually adds some of those vital minerals and nutrients that we need into the water. So finding a balance, find a good one. I will add a link below if there's one I can think of. But in regards to looking at a high quality water filter, I think it's just a commonly overlooked space, but it's still very much one of the staples that I recommend very often. The fourth one I want to look at is blue light glasses. Now, I'm obviously on a screen, and you're likely watching this on a screen. So we're exposed to artificial lights all through our day, and sometimes all through our night, or certainly late into the night. And this really disrupts our circadian rhythm, makes it hard to wake up and feel like we've got good energy in the morning, and the ability to wind down and calm down at the end of the day. So being able to get an awareness of where that light is maybe unhelpful can be something that could be its own video in itself. But two key aspects that I look at there is, are we going for a morning walk, getting some form of sunlight, and really being able to reset that circadian rhythm in the morning is a big part. And of course, later in the day, being able to have ideally an hour away from artificial lights at the end of the day. So winding the lights down, getting off screens can make a big difference. And for me, I found the addition, I've got actually 3 of them. I use just a basic clear light. You wouldn't even know they're blue light. I then move to a yellow, and if I'm really extra or wanting to work late into the night, I've got a big project I need finished, then I even move to a red light. Now, the reason for that is that it's not simply just the brightness of screens, it's also the color of that screen, or the signals to the brain. So in the sun, we have a natural more of the blue lights in the sun, and then we have more reds and oranges as the day or the afternoon goes on. So knowing that in most cases, the screens aren't changing. Now, of course, there's some tech coming out with a lot of laptops that are adjusting that screen. I use all of those. I've certainly seen a bigger benefit in being able to add in some blue light glasses to simply make sure that exposure to my eyes is reduced. And again, knowing I track my sleep and my recovery, I have seen an improvement in that too. So looking at a good blue block glasses, I think makes a fairly big difference. Great company in Aussie I've used for many years and recommended plenty of times. And even if you currently wear glasses, you can simply do a prescription version of those. So if you just wear your normal ones through the day and then you move to prescription at night, or rather you move to a blue blocking one as your normal, I think those are fantastic too. However, I think, again, it's not that blue light is bad. I think having it in the morning is good. Therefore, having kind of a second pair in the afternoon could be a nice way to look at it. So that's our first 4. The fifth one I want to add in here is a sauna. Now, this is something I've recently purchased, and I've seen some really big benefits. I've really enjoyed, one, the reduction of stimulus, because I do it at the end of day when I'm not watching screens or I've finished on the computer and I have that opportunity to sit. And I'm spending 20 to 30 minutes in the sauna, ideally after a quick run or a row, so I've already sweating. But for most cases, it's just the ability to either connect with my wife, the ability to sit there and really think through the day, as well as, of course, being able to get the benefits from the sauna itself. Now, I am a big fan of going more the infrared route as opposed to more steam or standard sauna, simply because I think the easiest way to explain this is rather than heating the body from the outside in, we're heating the cells from the inside out. And I think that's a more effective process, not to mention being more of a stimulatory process to the mitochondria, more of that energy production overall, and typically a more detoxifying sauna. So being able to look at that, certainly from what I know from the outside, I simply feel better. I feel that my skin feels better, my hair feels better, and I'm noticing that overall recovery and sleep quality has improved also. So looking at the sauna being, again, whether you have your own or whether you go to a sauna, I do think the benefit of going to one once or twice a week really has some big benefits. And if you have the opportunity to select an infrared sauna, I think that simply makes a little bit more difference as well. And I certainly notice it, rather than being sort of, I never really liked feeling like it was really hot in my nostrils if I was breathing in a really, really hot sauna, whereas these in comparison are a lot more pleasant. And I find I'm getting the benefits without so much of the struggle, which is always nice. All right, so there are my top 5 picks. This will certainly change, I'm sure, over the course of the next couple of years. But in regards to what I'm recommending regularly, where I see it beneficial, we've got our basic wearables, our Oura, our Whoop, or a Garmin as really an essential if you're serious about your health, serious about sleep and recovery, to make sure that you can get most out of your day. 2, we've looked at the EightSleep or some form of actually cooling blanket to keep the bed nice and cool, while also really an optimal sleep temperature to get that depth of sleep. And number 3, we're looking at some form of water filter so that we can really reduce the toxicity that we are drinking and improving the quality of our water. Number 4, we're looking at reducing that blue light to our eyes, or simply the stimulus later in the day that's causing us to stay awake. And then lastly, is the sauna, the ability to really sweat out those toxins, really clear the mind and improve that recovery/sleep. Those are my 5. I have clearly not covered all of them. I'd love to know what yours are below. Comment which yours are, either from my list, what you think is your favorite, or something that I've missed. We did a post earlier in the group, and one that a couple of people I know swear by is some form of eye mask. Again, just leaning into the space of reducing as much stimulus or light that's coming into the eyes. If you can't do a blackout blinds or the ability to make that room completely pitch black, then looking at something like an eye mask could be a fantastic option as well. But any of your other options, I'm curious. Comment below, what do you think should be added to that list, and maybe I'll try it out before 2025 and we can redo this. Otherwise, I hope you find that helpful. Hopefully find one or two that maybe you can look into, and I'll chop a couple helpful links if I've got recommendations where that might be as well. In regards to the sauna, actually Found Space is the brand I've found really helpful. They're the ones I've recommended across New Zealand, Australia. They would be the ones I look at. Blue Blocks glasses, or I now think they're called Blocking Blue Light, probably just better SEO for the blue blockers. And I'll figure out what my water filter is called, and I'll drop that below as well. So hope that was helpful. We'll see you on the next one, and hope you have an amazing weekend.